Now the first version of the script that I wrote, and I wrote this pretty much on my own because Bob was off making Roger Rabbit, the third act of the movie, rather than going back into 1955, took Marty to 1967. Biff ended up with a sports almanac in 1967 because I thought it would be cool to do the 60s. We did the 50s in the first one, let's do the 60s. Let's do student protests. George McFly would have been a college professor and Lorraine is a flower child or something. Let's do this stuff in the 60s and see what we can do with it. So I wrote this script that took place in the 60s in the third act.
And so Bob and I, we searched our souls for quite a long time. And then it dawned on us that we were in a situation that was very unique because we had the opportunity to do a sequel to a movie that's about time travel and time paradox. So in fact, we could do something that you could never do under any other circumstance, which is to go into the first movie in the second movie from a different angle. That excited me. And that's why I think Back to the Future 2 is one of my most interesting movies and one of my favorite, and it is certainly the strangest movie I've made.
McFly!
Yeah?
McFly!
What?
Your shoes unbelt!
When I was doing Roger Rabbit, and I knew that I was going to be doing the sequel, and I knew we were going to be involved in all these different multiple characters, and I said, you know, what we really need to do is we really need to come up with a system where I can do these splits, where I can put two actors in the same frame and be able to move the camera. So we were able to commission ILM to build what has become known as the VistaGlide camera, which was a robotic motion control camera dolly system, and it worked great.
Oh boy, Mom, you sure can hydrate a pizza.
Doing part two was more difficult than the first one. One of the things being the sequence where I played myself older.
Oh, yeah, great, Mom. We're like a couple of teenagers.
I played my son. I played my daughter.
Dad, it's for you.
And the technology then was really advanced at the time. We were doing things that had never been done, but I think by today's standards, they'd be very kind of quaint.
The Back to the Futures were done before digital anything. Everything in the two Back to the Future sequels was done optically. So when we do a scene with Michael Fox playing three different characters, he's got 4 or 5 hours of makeup to change each character, and once you set the camera in position, you have to glue everything down in the set and can't be touched. And some of these scenes were so elaborate and Michael's makeup was so long that we had to do them over a series of 2 days. And one time there was a tremor, an earthquake tremor, and we were concerned that everything might have moved in the set, but it turned out that we were okay. It was just a little one. We didn't have to reshoot anything.
All right, Doc, what's going on, huh? Where are we? When are we?
We're descending toward Hill Valley, California on Wednesday, October 21st, 2015.
2015? You mean we're in the future?
I never really ever wanted to go to the future in the Back to the Future movies because I don't like seeing the future in any movie, because the only kind of future that the audience actually accepts is an Orwellian dark future. So the problem with doing movies in the future is that you always are wrong. You underestimate it. You can't be right. Even Stanley Kubrick has always mispredicted the future in his movies. So what we did is we just decided to figure out a way to make it all into jokes.
Shark still looks fake.
But we had this idea that we wanted to keep the future as a nice place, a decent place, that if there was anything ever going to be wrong with the future, it was going to be because of who's living in the future as opposed to the technology.
Buttheads.
I feel that one of the reasons I enjoy having films that are historical or revisionist history or a period film is because I think it's one of the things that cinema can do best. It can do it good in two areas. One is that you can recreate the past in a movie and present it in a fictional way because we know what it looked like. And the second reason is by having time pass, you can examine the truth about something that happened.